I keep telling you, stop talking to the police. It doesn't matter what your intentions are. It's what they seemingly have unlimited power to do to you. Whatever your intentions are, you want to help out, you want to be kind to them. You don't know what they're going to do to you in return. By no doubt, by now, you have heard about the Chick-fil-A incident where a black police officer, a sergeant specifically, from Clover, South Carolina, experienced racism at the hands of a Chick-fil-A staff in Augusta, Georgia. We're going to take a look at this, and then we're going to talk about the fact how even you helping a police officer in his off time, in your terms, or whatever it is, will get you. That's not even going to get you. It's going to ruin your life.
I was kind of humiliated and embarrassed.
I felt like it was a racial thing, and I felt like he was singled out.
Only on 9, claims of racial discrimination at a Chick-fil-A. A Clover police officer said that he had to pay for his meal, but that his 3 white colleagues did not.
Their claims did garner an apology from the owner of the Augusta restaurant where this happened. Our South Carolina reporter Tina Terry spoke to officers about their experience.
I was kind of humiliated and embarrassed, at the whole situation, because it seemed like it was a racial issue to me.
Clover Police Sergeant Tracy Reed had that experience at a Chick-fil-A restaurant in Augusta, Georgia, while on a work trip a few weeks ago. He and 3 other CPD officers, all of them white, went into the restaurant for breakfast.
We all came into the restaurant together. We rode together, came in the restaurant together, all had the same uniform on, stood in line together. There was never a time that we were not together while standing in line.
They say all 3 white officers were offered a complimentary meal, which they say is often offered to law enforcement at the popular restaurant chain. But when Sergeant Reed got to the register, he had to pay.
He said he had to pay for his meal, and it infuriated me. And I told him, I said, "Do you want me to go say something?" And he was like, "No, I don't want you to cause a scene." But I could tell by the way he looked that, he just looked down at his plate and he looked really embarrassed and humiliated, which really made me mad.
Eventually, Reed wrote this letter to Chick-fil-A corporate demanding the chain retrain employees at the Augusta location and strengthen corporate-wide policies on compliance with civil rights laws. But Reed and the other officers were not satisfied with the response from the Augusta store manager, which included 2 cards for free meals.
They said that it was perceived that we were embarrassed or that it was a racial incident, which I didn't like, because I know it wasn't perceived. It actually happened.
He's not the only one to perceive it. We all perceived it that way, and it's not even perception, it's what happened. It was a racial issue.
That letter from the store manager included an apology, and it also stated that the person who processed the meal was a team leader who doesn't normally work behind the register. The manager called this incident a mistake. Reporting from Clover, Tina Terry, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Now, I want to make sure that I get my reporting accurate. What we have 3 of the 4 police officers who were reportedly involved in this incident from Clover, South Carolina Police Department, being on the news for public consumption, representing themselves as police officers, sworn representatives of the Clover Police Department, South Carolina, and we have them giving sworn expert testimony because they are sworn police, so the public automatically regards them as expert witnesses, and stating that it wasn't perceived racism. The 3 of them, factually, with evidence and credibility, experienced racism. There's no perception of it whatsoever. We have Detective Barnett, we have Sergeant Reed, Sergeant Gordon. We have all 3 of them leveraging their position as police officers, sworn for the state of South Carolina, for the city of Clover, stating that 100% racism had occurred. Not only that, but when Chick-fil-A did their own investigation and issued an apology, it wasn't good enough for these police officers. These police officers expected free food, didn't get it, blamed it on the color of a skin, and then when a public apology was issued and it wasn't enough, the police decided to leverage their power to demand a corporate business retrain their employees to their liking and standard. I want to make sure that that is factually true, because that's all that we all just got. I don't want to throw accusations out there, but I have to wonder, is there more to this story? Well, as it just so happens that a week after that initial story broke, where now it went viral, national, Chick-fil-A employs racists and they discriminate against black police, right? Our Back to the Blue heroes that you are told all the time, we need to humanize them. Humanize the badge. They are the men and women who are the greatest among us. They could do no harm. They could do no wrong. And one of them experienced racism. And we need to do better, because racism is one of the worst epidemic problems in America today. Let's see if there is more to this story.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jenny Montgomery. Thank you for joining us. Coverage you can count on begins with an Augusta Chick-fil-A restaurant being accused of alleged discrimination from a worker toward an out-of-town police officer. Kim Vickers reports.
In August, 4 members of the Clover, South Carolina Police Department stopped at this Chick-fil-A on Robert C. Daniel Jr. Parkway for breakfast. One officer who's black says that his 3 white colleagues were given their meals for free, but he was asked to pay. Now he's speaking out.
When we arrived at the place, we went inside. It was only 4 people in line. It was myself and 3 other white sergeants. We were all sergeants. We were all dressed the same. We all got in the same line, and we all ordered the food. I was the last one to place my order.
Sergeant Tracy Reed says he and his fellow officers were on their way to Cordell, Georgia to pick up several police vehicles when they stopped in Augusta to eat. He tells me the other officers had their orders taken by the cashier who was training someone. When it was his turn, someone else stepped in.
When I came up, the team leader came to the register. When he came to the register, he took my order and I paid. I had to pay for my food. He told me, the meal, and I didn't say anything about is my food free or why I didn't get mine free, because we cannot ask for gratuities.
Sergeant Reed says he was upset and embarrassed by what he believes was blatant racism. He tells me he wasn't the only one who noticed the alleged slight.
When I came back to the table, the rest of the sergeants were very disturbed, as I was disturbed. I was almost in a rage.
Sergeant Reed wrote a letter to Chick-fil-A's corporate office about the matter, and a few weeks later he got a letter from the franchise's owner along with 2 coupons for free meals. He says it's not enough and wants to see the restaurant improve training so something like this doesn't happen again. We reached out to the location's owner, Kenny Hanna, who referred us to the corporate office. They told me that the employee doesn't normally work at the cash registers and was trying to help. They claim he wasn't aware of the policy regarding discounts for first responders. Chick-fil-A sent us the following statement from Hannah. We regret the unintentional impact this incident had and sincerely apologize to our guest. We were deeply concerned by this claim. It appears to have been an honest oversight across separate lines and registers. We are strongly committed to supporting our community's first responders. In Augusta, Kim Vickers, WJBF News Channel 6.
So I get this correct. Number one, not only do we have a police sergeant breaking the law on camera, driving while operating a handheld device. So we have that, the very same crime that he has probably pulled over numerous people for and issued citations for, if not arrested for. But we have a police sergeant stating in the second interview, not in the first interview, in the second interview, that it was a different cashier who came up to him and gave him his receipt to pay for after the first 3 white ones dealt with someone else. And if it wasn't enough, we have Chick-fil-A stating it was an employee who, A, doesn't normally work the registers, doesn't sit there and know the policy on first responder comps, and B, they apologize for any misunderstanding. And according to Black Sergeant Reed, not only was that not good enough where he demanded training, but he was enraged. He was enraged. So we get this straight. You have a black sergeant and at least two white cohort sergeants all omit factual evidence from an initial investigation. When they go to the media, they all knew what happened. They're sitting at a table. So you've got 3 white sergeants sitting at a table. That means the 4th black sergeant who just experienced racism, which they couldn't see. If they were already sitting at a table, it means they didn't see the transaction that Black Sergeant Reed experienced at the counter with the separate employee. They didn't see that. But yet they go on TV and they claim it wasn't perception. We observed it. It was racism. They back his claims. Do you not see the problem with this? Here's my question. And I asked this of the mayor, the town council, and the chief of police. I asked in an email, which I haven't gotten a response to yet at the time of this report, what is their policy? Do they purposely train their police and their police sergeants to manufacture evidence, to collude, to omit facts and details when giving investigations? Or was this specifically done to get a free meal at Chick-fil-A or leverage their authority and their power on any other business in their state? Because this was out of state. If they were willing to do this out of their county, out of their city, and out of their state, what will they do in their state? Furthermore, I want to know, since these sergeants demand a training letter, I want to know what the chief of police is going to do with these sergeants, with their entire staff, to retrain them. Do we need to look into racial biases, motivations? How many traffic stops, cases, investigations, claims have resulted in the arrest of people in Clover, South Carolina, at the hands of either three of these police officers that have had false or fabricated or omitted evidence? Have they colluded together on traffic stops where Reed has observed actions, behaviors, tactics, drug paraphernalia, speeding, and it didn't exist, and the other two officers clearly backed him up? Is this a pattern between at least these three? Because right now what you have is a blatant lie from at least three police officers from the Clover Police Department in South Carolina. It's not possible. It is not possible for Detective Barnett and Sergeant Gordon to go on the news and say they observed racism when you have Sergeant Reed stating that he returned to the table where the other three officers sat and they asked what happened. His own statement disproves and absolutely shatters his credibility. And for Chick-fil-A to wind up apologizing absolutely blows me. This is my problem in America right now. And this needs to come down to the chief of police of Clover Police Department. This needs to come down to the command staff of Clover Police Department and the village hall of Clover. This is a massive issue, and this is why I don't celebrate cops and why you should not talk to police officers. You have three police officers who just openly lied and potentially destroyed the livelihood and the credibility of a worker at a Chick-fil-A in that community. What is that guy going through, or that gal? What are they experiencing? Why did we have only one side of the story that the news reported on, and we didn't get their story? We heard from Chick-fil-A corporate, but they're always going to side with customers, right? But this is why you can't talk to the police. This is why you should never talk to the police, and why it's dangerous for you. These men and women that you keep honoring, saying that we need to humanize them. 3 police officers, at least, from a different state, went to a different state, a different business. They're not part of that community. They went in and they destroyed that community. They absolutely ruined someone's life on a national level, and they did damage to the Chick-fil-A brand. Chick-fil-A should sue. They should absolutely sue the city of Clover in South Carolina. And they have all the evidence they need. Sergeant Reed purposefully lied and omitted evidence and manipulated facts and his position as a police officer to leverage his own personal gain. And Detectives Barnett and Detectives Gordon's colluded with him. What else have they done to rape victims, accused rapists, domestic batteries, drunk drivers, shooting suspects? What evidence have they manufactured, planted, or omitted that people are sitting in jail for or have criminal history because the complete side of the story, all the facts, the totality of the circumstances, and the evidence was not given out at the hands of these 3 police officers who made a career off of this? This needs to be looked into. This department needs to be looked into and audited, because you have 3 men who had no problem wearing their identifiable badges for this city, going on the news, which made national headlines, and they lied. All 3 of them lied. They should not be allowed to testify. They should be put on a Brady list. They should absolutely be barred, and they should be fired from the profession, because their credibility can no longer ever be trusted. Detective Barnett and Sergeant Gordon didn't observe what happened, according to Sergeant Reed. They were already sitting at a table. They asked what had happened, and they had to be told, which means that now we have collusion and we have corruption in Clover, South Carolina. As of the time of doing the report on this, I've received no statement at all from the Clover Police Department, Chief Grice, or the City Council. And I encourage you 100% to email, to reach out, Facebook, or go to their website, and any public information that's available, any non-emergency number, any public way that they encourage you to reach out to them, I encourage you to contact the Clover Police Department and find out what they're doing to ensure that public trust can be continued with their agency. Because as of right now, if 3 of their officers are willing to go on television and lie and manipulate and potentially steal from a business in the form of free food based off of their positions as police and uniform, and then continue to lie about the company in order to gain more free food and demand corporate training, all because of who they are, then what are they doing to the residents of Clover and anybody who drives through that town? Are you safe going through that agency knowing that you risk being pulled over and maybe evidence is planted in your vehicle, on your person? Maybe the facts and statements or the evidence that are used against you to convict you, which exonerate you, are shelved or buried or destroyed. We have police corruption on every level in America. And this is one of those unreported levels that happen almost every single day. This one, thank God, got caught on camera, and it needs to be investigated. Make sure you look into it. Subscribe at coptalklive.org. Join me live every Friday night at 9 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, and 5 Pacific. And then make sure you join our Sunday roll calls where you can become a Patreon member or Buy Me a Coffee member, and we all talk about these issues. Be safe out there.